You are listening to the Pursuit of Manliness podcast, where we are vigorously equipping men to pursue biblical manliness. This is our midweek A Quiet Life podcast that focuses on living a quiet life, mind your own affairs, work with your hands, and be dependent upon nobody. For more information, visit us at thepursuitofmanliness.com.
So recently at our church, we had a trunk or retreat night. Maybe you have one of these at your church, and I've been a part of these for years. You call them fall festivals or harvest fest or candy fest or whatever you want to call it. The idea, the premise is the same. It's around the Halloween holiday on the calendar time. You hand out candy. Maybe there's games, fall centric type snacks. And typically these things are free, so they're open to the public. You're saying, hey, anyone show up. We want you all here. Come get a ton of candy. Please take the candy home. And it's just, it's a really good night. And something that hit me the last couple of years, and maybe it's because I hadn't been a part of one for a few years, I don't know, but I have three things that stand out to me. Now, let me say this on the onset. Regardless of your and I get it. I get 1,000%, you guys who are against Halloween. I wholeheartedly get it. The evil, the dark, I get it, okay? I'm going to look at it from the perspective of let the kids get some candy. I'm a father of 3 kids. As y'all know, I did children's ministry a long time. I'm of the mindset, let the kids get all the candy they can get. I mean, there gets a point in your life where you're like, probably shouldn't be eating candy anymore. Or when I eat it, I feel miserable. I don't know if I've gotten to that point yet with all candies, but some of them I'm thinking, nope, not doing that no more. And I tell you that because I believe kids get one shot at being a kid. Let's make it as great as possible. Let's get out of the way. Let's try to let them have as much fun as they can. You're going to spend a long time being a grown-up, maybe. I say all that to get to my first point. I don't know if I'll ever really understand adults who wear costumes. I'm not saying the dad who wore the safari costume because his 3-year-old loves Jurassic Park and the family's in a park ranger thing. Like, I get that. I'm not going to do that, but I understand there are people who say, hey, I complete the costume. There's 5 of us, we needed a basketball player. Or there's somebody had to be the ref. Like, I get that. I really do. What I'm talking about is the adults who dress up in costume because they really want to dress up in costume. Because they really think it's cool to be in a costume. Because they really think that they become a character for a night. And I'm never going to understand that. I'm never going to fully grasp that. And you say, well, Jared, it's not I don't have to convince you of why I do that. You're right. You don't. You don't. But again, for me, I know on the planning side of these things, you plan it for the kids. I know the adults in costumes, and we had a lot of adults in costumes. And through the years, I've seen a lot of adults wear costumes. I have. I've seen every harvest, carnival fest, whatever you want to call it, they all have costumes. That's fine. I'm not anti-costume. I guess maybe I'm more anti-why behind the costume. And Paul wrote this in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. You see, I see putting on a costume for attention as a bit of a childish way. You can disagree. You can type out your YouTube comment or email to me. That's fine. But I see it as we're trying to grab hold of something that's over. That's over. Maybe you didn't get that. Maybe for some people they didn't get that. They didn't get to go trick or treating, or they didn't. I understand that, and I'm sorry for that. I understand there's some rough childhoods out there, and I understand maybe there are kids that find it fun or whatever, extra special, whatever, if their parents put on costumes. And listen, I've done Vacation Bible School. It's not that I've never had a costume on. What I'm saying is it's the why behind it. I think we had, at times, depending on the groupings that were coming in, more adults than kids. And it was as if the adults said, this is a reason, this is a place, this is an excuse for me to play dress up. You want the perks of being a grown-up without the functionality of being a grown-up. So someone would say, well, what are you? I'm nothing. I'm drinking coffee, saying hi to people that walk in the building. I am in the parking lot. I am tearing down tables and chairs. That's what I am. This night isn't for me. It's not for me. It is for these kids, and it's for them to get all the Milk Duds and Reese's Pieces and whatever else they can get, and for us to smile, take pictures, get out of the way. Gets me to my second point. And this one isn't as cutting as the first one, or the third one for that matter. People do some dumb things for candy. I mean, if you go to Walmart or Meijer or Kroger or Food Lion or Hy-Vee or wherever your Publix, whatever your thing is where you live, they got candy. Okay, I don't think we're having a shortage on candy, but you hand out free candy, people act like they have lost their mind. Adults with a bag, adults smiling as their kid comes around like the third time. Come on, we're trying to have a society here. Again, be an adult, like be in charge. And some of y'all do that. I know that. I'm just working through these thoughts. That I was talking to my wife about this. I said, these are the things that bother me. Kids getting candy will never bother me. A parent who doesn't parent their kid, that does bother me. I mean, I say give these kids pounds of candy. You're going to eat it anyways. You're going to stick it in your freezer, your cabinet. Well, you're going to put it in their lunches anyways. You might as well, use it throughout the year like Patriot Supply food or something. Just work it through the year. That's fine. Anyone will eat a Hershey's with a pumpkin on it in May. We don't care. Whatever. Just get the chocolate. But don't lose your mind for free stuff. This is my third thing. If I still got you here, this might be the most important one. As I looked at the crowd, and I've seen this the last couple of years, would you not agree that we have been a lot more vocal about a mental health crisis in our country? Would you not agree that they are now saying, the people that were on the other side of this, who are like pro shut these schools down, they're now saying maybe that wasn't the best idea to shut the schools down because our kids from a learning standpoint are way behind. Yeah, how's that going to work out for us in, a generation or two? These kids who went from first grade to fourth grade without normal, regular education. Would you not agree our kids are up against it in a lot of ways, whether it's television, social media, and they are on social media, the apps, YouTube? Would you agree it's a little harder for kids today than it was maybe in the 70s, 80s, 90s? Most logical people would agree. Then why on earth are 95% of these kids wearing a costume that is dark? Something evil. And I couldn't tell you what they are. I just know that I would say, hey, okay, so hey, what are you? And they'd say, well, I'm so-and-so from this and this. And I'm like, nope, I don't know what that is. And you could tell by the way they were explaining it, it was dark. You could tell by the way it looked, it was dark. I'll go back to that. Most of the adult costumes are dark. Why on earth are 80 to 90% of the people walking into events, and I don't know what it's like where you're at, if everyone dressed up as, Winnie the Pooh and Bambi, and we didn't have that. There were no SpongeBobs, and I don't even like SpongeBob. There were no baseball players. I don't like baseball. There was no soccer players. There was no, didn't somebody want to be a nurse, a teacher? There was nothing career centric, I'll tell you that. Maybe it's because our one starts with our grown-ups. Let's model what is good, what is appropriate, what fits what we believe, and perhaps that's what they do believe, and that means we got a lot of work to do. But these kids are walking around in dark costumes. Where did they get that from? They watch that stuff. they engage with that stuff. And you wonder why we got kids going to counselors and on medication and cutting themselves and TikToks and all this stuff about how to harm yourself and kill yourself. All this is going on, and we're footing the bill for it. Somebody had to pay for these things. I don't know if you went to Goodwill where you got them at, but somebody's footing the bill for darkness. It's not going to be me. It is never going to be me. I'm never going to endorse it. I'm not going to download it. I'm not going to pay for it. I'm not going to high five it. So what are you going to be? What are you? Oh, I'm one person that had a mask, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. It reminded me of a person on Rugrats. I know I'm old. So I went up to the person, the kid, and I said, sorry, are you something from Rugrats? And she's like, no, it's almost like she was embarrassed to tell, and her dad's kind of filling in the gaps of, you shouldn't need to be embarrassed of it. If you go with something for candy, for free candy, whatever, you want to dress up, that's fine. But here's the question. What are we doing? What are we doing where this becomes the norm? I'm not going to sit here and act like we redeemed Halloween for good. That, the 500 people that walked out of our church that night went, I saw the light. We're in. I'm not going to act like that happened. We do hope there is a glimpse of something good there. And so we've kind of embraced like, okay, this is a way we can get people on our campus and we can love on them. We can give them a ton of free candy. Hopefully they can see some good. Well, not if you're obsessed with candy and you can't look out your mask grown up and your kids made 48 laps. Let's think about just what we're doing. From my perspective, if I'm going to aspire to live a quiet life, mind my own affairs, work with my hands, be dependent upon nobody, I want to be an example to other people. I don't want to come across as I'm judging them. And that's why I'm utilizing this right here to say, hey, let's think about that. Let's think about what we're doing. You say, oh, it's just one night. It's just fun. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. And those kids did not just, go to the grocery store or wherever you buy costumes now and pick one off the rack because they like, the mask, or they know the characters. They know the people. And we're surrounded by darkness. I think we need to crank up the light. We need to get on the offensive and get off of the defensive. We need to show people goodness because they're not hiding their darkness. There are people hiding darkness, don't get me wrong. But I believe today there are less and less people attempting to hide their darkness. In a harvest fest, a fall festival, trunk or treat, whatever you want to call it, it is on full display. It is on full display. And again, we'll go back to that question. What are we doing? If you're a parent, what are you doing? That night's not for you. It's not for you. I have 2 high school age daughters. They know it's not for them. It's not for them. It was for the kids, the little kids who come in with their bags. They want a Reese's or whatever we give out. It's for them. So as a parent, I just say, hey, this ain't about me. I'm not going to lose my mind. I asked my son last night, I said, hey, where'd your candy go from that night? Because old dad's ready to dive into that bag. He said, somebody stole it. Now, whether somebody stole it doesn't matter. Who cares? He's like, yeah, I set it down, turned around. I said, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt somebody walked over your candy. Although you could be prone to lose it. Listen, we can buy more candy. We'll be fine. I would do well to not have a little more sugar in my life. And let's make sure our kids are not swimming in darkness. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's not okay. It is going to consume them. And it is our job, whether they are your children or not, to be the light. Stay in the light. Show them the light. Give them something good. Give them something to aspire to. Give them something to aim at. Adults, it's not a bad thing to be a grown-up. It's a great thing. Stop trying to be a kid. And while you're being a parent, parent those kids into the light. Get them in the light. Show them goodness. Show them the love of God. Even if you don't understand it, There were plenty of places in the last, 2 or 3 weeks that opened their doors to you and say, come to our lot, come to our campus, get some free candy. Go back to those places and say, hey, y'all are very nice to us. We thought we would check this church out because we need some light in our life. God knows our kids desperately need it. Amen. I'll talk to you guys in a little bit.
Thank you for listening to the Pursuit of Manliness podcast. If you would, make sure to visit iTunes and leave a 5-star review to let others know what you think of this show. When you get a chance, make sure to visit thepursuitofmanliness.com to see what is available in the gear store, find more information out about Tribe, and much more. Thanks for listening, and let's keep pursuing biblical manliness.